It's Tuesday, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Fantasy Island. It's a pretty awesome day today because we're going to get to do, what do we get to do today? Nick, what do we get to do? Why are we so happy to be here, Nick Hunter?
Because we are going to talk about bug reporting.
Bug reporting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely so exciting. Nothing paves the road to hell faster than users who tell you they test their solution. They don't test it. You deliver it to them. They actually use it, and it explodes.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah. This is terrible.
it is terrible. I want to let everyone know I was working on the schedule. This is the upcoming broadcast schedule. So first I should say, welcome to fmtraining.tv, where we create great FileMaker training content every day. And this is a live broadcast. A lot of our content is recorded. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of fmtraining.tv, here with Nick Hunter, who's one of our ace hitters, helps us out with a lot of stuff and tons of FileMaker experience. Real quick before we get going with Nick, I want to say that that was the live training schedule we brought. I was showing you the database. That database that you saw just a second ago drives this right here. This is fmtraining.tv, where you can check out the latest and greatest training. This is the upcoming schedule. If you want to be reminded of a broadcast, because you only come here some of the time, you can press the click me button and you can sign up, and it'll send you a note a day and an hour before the broadcast, which is kind of nice. Additionally, as always, a reminder that this broadcast is sponsored by fmtraining.tv, which pays the bills for all this, and it's not free, it's not cheap. And so as a result, we always recommend that you buy some of our training to help offset the cost so you can be an official supporter of the broadcast. Bug reporting, bug testing in the FileMaker platform, that is today's concept. So if you are going to build a FileMaker file for someone, you're going to build a beautiful FileMaker file and you want it to work and you want it to be awesome, you must have people test it. Here's a copy of FM Starting Points, our free CRM that we have out there. And this is some sample data that was thrown in here. This has to be tested. It's a real painful process to get people to test it. People don't want to test software unless you put some sort of you put little money in it, or there's some other compelling reason for them to test it. If you're the owner of a company and you buy software, and then you're going to be likely to want to test it. But if you employ 50 people and they're on some sort of salary job and they already have a day job, and you say, oh, by the way, everyone, in your spare time, I need you to test the software, it will never happen. It will never happen. So bug testing and getting good feedback on your software before it goes live is one of the most important things you want to do. So this conversation, one, is about incentivizing people to actually do the testing and strategies for that. And then two, once they're in doing the testing, how they report bugs and what you do with that. And so I want to cover the how they report bugs in the last half, because that's partly a mechanical process. But Nick, how do you incentivize people? Now, Claris doesn't have this problem because they say, we've got this new version, and if you want to be an expert when it comes out, you're going to pre-test it now, report bugs to us. That way, when it comes out, you're already an expert and you already know about it, right? So yeah. Claris has people already incentivized, but what do you do?
So here how the hairy part of the debugging. When you are the developer, you're the worst debugger in the world.
Okay.
When you want to debug,
okay, we should write down factual statements here. So let's go to Discord. We're going to start writing down factual statements. The Discord people start factual statement number 1. The developer cannot be the bug tester. So I guess I'm going to write it down over here. So I'm going to type it, I guess.
And there's a very simple reason for that, is because you are going to test your software the way you intend it to work. So that means it will work for 100% of the time, because you're going to use it in the way that it works, right? So when you have, so that's a big problem. So you will be the worst tester if you want to do it yourself. So if you don't, so that's the problem. When you don't have a team, who is going to test it? So here you need to get involved the customer. Or if you have somebody that's working with you, like us, for example, we have testers, we have SQA people, we call them. Okay, so we have people that test the product, and they have a section of the product. Okay, oh yeah, you test this, you test that. But so this is pretty much the basic philosophy behind debugging. So after that, if we want, we can talk about how debug a product correctly. That could be interesting.
Well, I mean, okay, so Andre says build test units, right? And so Dave Learning says you have to document the test, right? So I guess that's what Andre's talking about. Listen, when you guys put a bunch of random nouns together and adjectives, I'm going to ask for clarification what that means to you, because sometimes it means different things to different people.
Yeah, documenting the test, yes, is true, but you have to define the different area you need to test. Functional. Okay, you need to test the workflow. You need to test the workflow is mean if everything that is supposed to do is doing. Okay, it's supposed to print a report, is in printing the report. Yes. Okay. So or no. Okay. So this is a workflow. Then you have to test the accuracy of the results. Like for example, it's supposed to it's supposed to print all my invoice from California, as including Texas and New York in the same time. So it works, it prints, but not with the right data. So you need to work. So workflow first, accuracy of data second, and then at the end you're going to test about the performance, because maybe some people will complain about, printing this report takes 2.5 hours. It cannot be that way. So you need to separate. You cannot test everything at once, and you cannot test the performance at the beginning, because you have something fast with the wrong results. It doesn't help. Okay, so or you have something fast because it doesn't print. It doesn't help. So first the workflow, does it print? Yes. Then the accuracy of data, and then the performance.
A lot of this is dripped into the tactical scenario immediately. Bob says, "What are we looking at here?" I'm making notes about this. The problem is I'm trying to kind of guide the conversation. It's like, once again, herding cats, and Andre's off at the has jumped at the end, the tactical component of it, of the mechanics of capturing the data bugs. The broader problem that you have is that you have to incentivize people to do the test, right? And so Andre's talking about coding things you can do to help with the test, okay? Yeah. Yes, that's important, but if you don't get people to do the test in the first place, they won't.
Most of the time, you can get your customer involved, okay, or the person that you are talking. Let's say you work in a big in a wide company. You're talking to a project manager and stuff like that. You can get him involved, or for example, the latest big large company I was working for, it was 3 years ago. The city of Montreal, they have 120 users in the solution and stuff like that. So I was talking to the person in charge of talking to me, and I was asking her, hey, please, can you get your people just printing stuff, or test this, test that? Look if because here's the problem with the testing. Most of the time for you, when you build something, what you see on the screen, there are a bunch of characters and bunch of numbers, but they don't talk to you. When somebody involved in that is the representation, it's the graphical representation of their daily work. They immerse in that job. When they see a number, for example, they can tell you, oh, that's not possible, that result not possible. When for you say, why is not possible? Okay, I have a result, I have something, so it's okay. It works, right? Yeah, but no, it cannot be negative, or it cannot be positive, or it cannot be there, it cannot be big. So when you ask the person involved in the result talks to them much more than he can talk to you. So it can have a value to have the people involved in what they're going to use. Apple FileMaker is doing exactly the same thing. Apple rely on developers and users to report bugs, and FileMaker rely on customers, and the ETS program and stuff like that is made for that. It's because we need the people involved, and that will talk to the person in front of the computer testing. When for you that, okay, it works, I have a number, so I have a result, it works. right? So yeah, it's very important to get the. I never got a problem getting the customer involved because they are the first wanting the result to be great, and they are the first wanting the thing to work very well because they will be presenting the thing to their colleagues. And yeah,
Nick,
yeah,
no, that's not always the case. I'm just agreeing with
yeah.
you. Okay, so if okay, so if all your customers are, I can't wait for the software. It's going to be so awesome. It's so going to be so wonderful. I can't wait to have it. I'll test it all night and all day. Okay, that's going to be the advocates that are helping to guide the project through. But a lot of if you have a big deployment and you have 20, 30, 50, 60 people using it, 3 or 4 of them are just the ones that Nick described, and the other 45 don't give a dog about the software because they have a day job. Hey, they got a day job. We're busy doing our day job. We don't have time to play with Nick.
Okay, so if that's the case, okay, so the bill will be higher, and you do yourself, and you involve other people. So
how about an alternate strategy? How about an alternate strategy where you build small blocks of the functionality and you thread them into the process and you make them live, or to the point where the users start to use them. And if something is broke, you only have a small section to triage in real time while people are screaming.
That is when you have what we call a waterfall kind of development.
Right. Okay. So Nick, over here, the notes, waterfall.
So when the problem is, for example, I'm working today with Scott. The product is in production with a very small amount of people, and is not at all deployed in a wide range because everything is still in development. Nothing is frozen. Nothing is definitely there. So this cannot apply. So if you don't have a good understanding with your customer about the importance for them to take some time and test the thing and report the problem to it will be impossible to test. I mean, if they don't want to test and you cannot test because nothing is, when you do bit by bit like that, when you have something already done and then you add modules, yeah, that's easy. You don't even need a tester. You can test yourself. But when you have a broad kind of for big, large stuff, and you need the thing to be tested, because the problem when you do that, the big risk of this strategy, which works, it works. The big risk is, we have a new module here, great, and then down the road, 2 weeks by now, 3 weeks by now, oh, by the way, this doesn't work anymore. Something completely not, unexpected. You broke something else.
That's a possibility. Okay, that's a possibility.
So, and then you have kind of a death spiral here. So,
all right. So Nick, you're talking, but you're not looking at the notes I'm writing, right? I love you.
Yeah, I know. Pushing new functionality live prematurely will force the end user to perform tests. Okay, yeah.
I'm making notes here. You're talking, and I can't get you to slow down, right? So the question is either you're going to, okay. So there's really 2 strategies, right? The one strategy is you're going to have them do a little bit of testing every day as they start to migrate or move to this new system, okay? But you have to be available because they're going to find problems, and you need to be there immediately. The term is Johnny on the spot to fix things. The flip side is that you build this big project, like a big migration, like when we migrated from FileMaker. Like we had this customer, County of Santa Clara. They migrated from FileMaker 7 to FileMaker 14 or something, and it was a massive amount of work. And we literally had to we didn't have to use guns. I'm saying that's the extreme. You could tell all your employees, you're going to go test the software now, or you're going to get whacked, right? So they didn't take guns, but they actually literally had to take people, get them to stand up, put your cell phones down, put your iPhones down, put all your little tools down, march them literally into the conference room, lock the door, not let them out until they went through a testing process on the software to force them to test it. They would not test it any other way. And so I'm kidding about the gun thing, but when you take someone's cell phone and they start squealing, you might think they've been stabbed or something, right? You might think they're going to die, right? People know what I'm talking about, right? And so the question is is that you have to lock them in a conference room and get them to test.
Yeah.
And listen, they don't like it. You don't like doing it, but that's what you're forced doing. So the trick is either you have to forcibly coercion, which I think is a criminal thing sometimes if you over coerce people. But if you have to coerce them to test it, or you can get them to willingly do it, and you have to find a strategy to come up with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you, my experience based on working with big projects that last more than a year, like for example with Scott, that we celebrate our first anniversary of marriage this month. So it's a year that we work for in this solution. So obviously we build kind of a special relationship because we talk pretty much every day, and so when you have a large product like that. I noticed that the person you talk to, he or she is involved as much as you do as a developer. Like for example, my experience of the city of Montreal, for example, it was, for example, the person I was talking to, she was reporting and she was demonstrating the product to her managements and the mayor and stuff like that. So she has her credibility, professional credibility on the line, and she doesn't want to present something that wasn't working. So she was deeply involved and she was testing and she was, because that was her credibility involved. So that's what I'm saying. Most of the time, the person you talk directly to, you talk directly to, involving the project, she or he will talk to the other people, the other users down the road, right? So, but it's important that you have this relationship with the person you talk to. Look, it's widely depending on the quality of relationship you have when between the relationship between the developer and the project manager. Like, remember we had this experience 2 years ago, Richard, where I decided to terminate my relationship with a customer, right? Why? It's because I said, okay, we had a bad relationship. Sometimes, characters doesn't match, and vision doesn't match, and so instead of going to a disaster that is, watching a car accident, slow-mo that is going to happen, is better than stopping the car right away. Okay, so sometimes that happens when the relationship is not good enough and you don't have a trust kind of a trust relationship, a close trust relationship with the project manager, which is your customer, and you as a developer.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm just making notes here as we go along.
Yeah.
Bribery. Maybe bribery. I'm looking at there's obviously there's the Nick conversation. There's the I'm taking notes here conversation. What we'll do is we'll pull these notes up and get to that. So there is this kind of idea that if you can do it in small enough chunks, you get people to go live with the chunks. Go live with the little blocks of code that say you spend 3 or 4 days building something, they start to use it. The other part of the other thing to consider that the new system will have live data. Most of all the senior people here know this. TK and Andre and all you know this. You have a new system will have live data. You don't want the users going back to the old system and inputting data there because they prefer it, right?
Yeah, okay, that's another thing. That's maybe a kind of a parenthesis that we can put here. People will always love the old way more than the new way. That is 100% sure that we love the old way. Why? Because it's like the comfort of all leather. You are in your comfort zone. You know that light bulb button prints invoices, which is not obvious at all, but you know it, and you know that behind this button here you have another button hidden, and when you click on this hidden button, you have your own old routine that is doing something like crazy, but you like it because it's the way you always do, and you comfort. So when you have a new system, say, oh no, now I need to learn something, right? So and nobody wants to learn things.
I just wrote that up. That's number 6. So,
Yeah.
all right. So once we get past these things, the idea is collecting the actual user report, right? Collecting the user report. So what I want to do is I'm going to start off with a screenshot right here. This is one that I took earlier. I'm going to zoom in on this quite a bit for everyone so they can see what's going on. And so what this is Claris's bug reporting processes that they use. Okay, it's a screenshot. There's nothing confidential on here at all. Basically, what they do is they have an online web form. I've seen developers build this into a FileMaker file where they collect the bugs in the FileMaker file. But there's an important piece that's missing here, and some of you will probably see this, and I'm going to look back over here to my left to see what's going on. But basically, the one thing that Claris does, they say, well, you have different machines with different configurations. I might have a Mac, I might have a Windows machine. And so what you do is you establish what your configurations are. And then when you have a bug, you say what kind of machine or configuration you were using, so you don't have to explain it every time, right? So then they say, well, this is my database software that I'm working on, right? And I'm working the current one right now. And if you were having this fill itself out automatically by the user, you could say what operating system you're using, what type of computer. You could have this fill out automatically if this was a FileMaker form of some type, just a data entry form, right? This is a web page here, but then Claris asked the question, is the future area, this is an area, so is it, we're talking about the Pro, Go, Server, the different kind of product areas that Claris kind of throw stuff around, right? And then a lot of things that they're doing, they're testing, are browser related. So they say, what kind of browser are you using? And you'll see this over here. This document is actually here. I put it in Discord. We'll see if we can post a link to it elsewhere. So anyway, Claris goes through this, but it gets down to this part down here, which I think is really educational.
This one is good. This okay, because to say to the people that I worked at FileMaker for 8 years, so I failed maybe 200 billion bugs over there, and they expect things to be done.
Okay, stop. I don't understand what you just said. You had 2 billion bergs.
No, okay. I walked over there for sales at FileMaker, so I was reporting bugs.
Bugs.
B-U-G-S.
Got bugs. Got
bugs.
it. Not bergs. Okay.
I was reporting bugs, maybe 2 billion of them, and so they expect the bug to be reported in one way. Otherwise, the bug is ignored. What is important? Let's say you have a customer that call you, say, "Hey Nick, I can print invoice." Okay. Do you have a printer connected to your computer? Or, it can be 200 billion reasons why you can print your invoice, right? So that's why we say, okay, you have a summary. So okay, I can print invoice. So that's the summary. I cannot print invoice. Blah. Step is, okay, I go to the layouts, I go to this layout, then I click on this tab, and then I click the print button. And then maybe here, you describe this. And then on expected results, okay, I expect to have an invoice printed by this customer, sorted by this and sorted by that.
Okay.
And the actual result is, okay, what the actual result? You need, when I click, I get an error message that says this. So then you let down all the experience, and then the developer can read this and immerse and reproduce the problem. Because, Nick, I cannot print invoice, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, what you find out frequently is that sometimes what you actually intended to build, right? What you actually intended to build is what works, but their expectations of what they need or what they think it should do are different. And this does happen all the time. I mean, especially like if you're working with an advocate and they're with a project manager advocate at this company or organization, and they're helping collect information, and they talk to this end user, or maybe you talk to them in a meeting and you kind of get what they want, but maybe you don't write it down right, or you don't hear what they're saying, or they didn't communicate it well. This is actually another entire level of communication. It's not so much about bugs. It's about making sure it really does what they what they needed to do. What did they
Yeah.
need it to do, right?
Yeah.
So
So, and the way you write this is very important too. Let me quickly explain here. This is part of our maybe a conversation, Rick, that we can have one day about how to communicate by email, how you communicate with a large in a large corporate company or large audience and in a very efficient manner. We can have this, but I can talk about this. So here, what you're not supposed to do here, like the short summary is, when I came back from vacation. By the way, I visited my grandma, and my auntie, and we had barbecue, and everything was fine. We had fun and stuff like that. And then when I came back, so if you lay down your life there, this is not good. When you go with explanation, it's not good. You need to go with bullet points. So what bullet point is, summary is, cannot print. That's it. You don't need more, the steps, go to layout this, click on tab this, and click on button this, okay? Or you explain, you create new user, type a name and user in the user field. You explain, type, do, go, print, click. You need to go there, bullet points, right? And the expected result, exactly the same thing. And the actual result, bullet points, right? Don't explain the thing when I go to the layout. No, in layout buff. Don't when I go to the layout and when I click to the button. No, you say go to layout print, click on button buff. So you don't say when I go. Don't put, because we don't have the time. We don't want to read your life, and I'm sure you had a great experience last summer. But we don't. We want something very clear and concise, because then we can concentrate on the issue and not concentrating on trying to decipher what you try to explain in the text. So that's very important.
all right, so that's why I like to show this right here, because we try to it allows Claris to get inside people's expectations. Like, because a lot of times when Claris gives us a new feature, or especially the way they're working right now, is that the old days they used to give us this. I used to get it from Rick Kalman, and then he posted a couple times and he got in trouble because there was some secret stuff in it. But a document which was like Claris's internal dialogue about why are we doing this, and this is why we're doing this, and this is why it makes sense. It's like the internal requirements document and internal justification of why they're building a feature. We used to get that. So then we understood what problem they were trying to solve, how they were trying to solve it, why they weren't doing other ways. These days, the way we get a feature is, here's a new get function, get winning lotto number, right? Or some shit, whatever it is. And we have no idea. And so the thing is, these days, when we get a function, there's not a lot of documentation anymore, so us putting the information what we expected it to do is more useful than normal, I think, at least in this case, right? So cause a lot of times I'm just trying to understand what Claris is doing, and in their case, but once again, this is generically, it's not anything specific really to Claris today. It's just I liked what they said here because it makes a lot of sense in terms of understanding what would it, how would this. What is the behavior you expect? And if we could make it better, how would you make it better? Blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the rub with this. The number one problem with this, it's like this gaping hole in this thing. Whenever I submit a bug to Claris anymore, I shoot a video and I stick it in Dropbox and I reference the video link in here so they can watch the video.
Yeah.
There's no ability in here to, and I'm not complaining at Claris or at tech support or this or at the engineering team over here. There's no screenshot. I mean, in an ideal world, we've actually seen this before, where you could be in FileMaker and you go, oh, I've got this bug. Let me just press a button and it takes a screenshot and sticks it in a container. You can actually do that. The problem is always seems to be platform specific. Works on Windows, doesn't work on Mac. Works on Mac, doesn't work on Windows. Doesn't work on WebDirect on an Android. And you really need the ability to capture the moment, right? Almost like Apple's got those photos that the little motion photos, I don't know what they call them. It's like, for me, either videos are videos or photos are photos. And now Apple, when you take a picture of the camera, it's not really a photo, it's a video, right? But they take this one frame out of it. So it captures the material before and after, and it makes like a little kind of interesting thing. What do they call that? Live photos or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what you need. You need a live photo of the bug happening. Would be really great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I posted the icon on the Discord. On a Mac, if you use a Mac, you have a built-in software that do the screencast for you, that record the screen. Okay, you can ask Scott. I send him. I don't do any explanation on email, typing emails like for 2 hours at night, typing emails, explaining things and stuff. No, I'm shooting a video, and so on the Mac you have a screenshot application in your utility folder. That the icon I put on Discord. On the PC, you have a plethora of free software that you can freeware that you can use on PC. It's the value of this is the time saving for you, time saving for me, because I can see it, I can hear what you say about it. And then seeing it, I say, oh, I know why. Most of the time, 99% of the time, I know what the bug is, even before you start explaining what it is, because it's visual. So as the screencast is, so screencast today, because we have giant big screen, right? Screencast can be used, so it's good to use what we use at internally at RCC, kind of a Dropbox kind of link. That cool. And,
okay, so David says on the PC, Control plus Alt plus print screen will catch the current window. And where does it stick? David, where does it stick it? Like it saves it somewhere? Where does it go? For me, it has to go to the desktop or some useful directory.
Yeah, it goes to the desktop, but
well, I don't know on a PC. Does a PC one go there? Okay, it says it. Oh, it goes in the clipboard.
Yeah, but I'm talking about videos. I don't know on the PC if it go to it record the video on PC. I don't know.
He's saying a still image. David Angel is talking about a still image. So
we are talking about screencast.
I know, but I will listen. Let's not get overly greedy, Nick. I will start if I have compared to what was over here, which is nothing. I will take an image. I will take an image of what you're saying, but a video is better than the image if we have a choice, right?
The video is great when you have when it's a visual glitch, like misspelling or whatever, visual glyphs. Screenshot is great, or you can maybe you can add kind of explanation on the screen you can write text on the screen on the screenshot, but the screencast, when you have kind of a workflow, something moving, of course, when you have a moving workflow and a moving screencast is the best, right? And,
well, I'll be honest with you, it would be really great. I'm just spitballing here, and I'm sure someone's already done. Well, maybe no one's already done this yet, but the add-on modules would be really great if you had an add-on module that you could drag and drop the bug reporting into a solution. So you're working on some solution. Whatever. Maybe you start with a copy, a starting point, and you're going to add stuff to it for your customer, which is totally good. And then, but your starting point doesn't have the built-in bug reporting thing, so you would drag this add-on module in.
Yeah. So that's a good way also to report bugs, or to refer to bugs between the developer and the person you talk to on the other side of your customer. Is to use what I call sticky notes on layouts. So the person can go. Most of the time, your customer has access to the layout, right? And they can go layout mode, and they can say. So you can teach them how to create a sticky note on the layout, which is pretty much a text. You type text on the layout mode, and then you hide it automatically. You put one in the hidden state. And then each time you, as a developer, I'm entering the layout in layout mode. On browse mode, you don't see the sticky note. But when you, I can show you an example here. I can send you a screenshot of what I'm talking about. Yeah. So on Discord, I'm displaying what I'm talking about is when I enter layout mode, I see this yellow thing here. And say, oh, there's a problem here, or do this, or do that, or and Scott, for example, this is Scott's version of this Scott file. So he's putting notes and say, hey, you know what? When I print it, I click here, and it doesn't do the thing. It doesn't, So then I know I have this on my screen all the time. The tooltip, right? This sticky note on the layout. And sometimes, we have a screencast here. Hey, Scott, I've seen your sticky note on the layout, and here what I've done. So you refer to the sticky note in your communication. So it's a great way to have reminders, even for you as a developer. That's a great way to remind yourself about things without to interfere with the everyday life of the user, because that is not showing. How you hide, this is a technical tip here. So here, what you put here, you select the block and you put 1 in the hidden state. Hidden object when 1, you put 1 there. You select the object and you put 1. And that will be automatically hidden all the time on browse mode and print and preview and find mode. Or it will be seen only on layout mode.
So I've zoomed in on this quite a bit. So it's he puts a note on here, and then he puts a 1 in the object hide object when, and then it's always being hidden, right?
Yeah, so. And I always created in my solution to make sure that the things are great looking. I created kind of for a sticky notes, kind of for style in my objects. So let me show you this also. So I created a sticky notes in my object here, in my styles. See now. So you type the text on the layout, and then you apply the style sticky note, and bam, it become orange and black text and so look like a sticky note, right?
Yep.
So that's that thing that can help you help the communication. So you were talking about a topic. Do you want to go where you want to go with?
No, I just want to make sure that we're getting feedback from these folks. So towards the end of this, a big part of this was a couple tips that came along, and Andre threw some stuff out, which triggered some ideas about some of my stuff. With web forms, Andre was talking about. Let me see here. Where did he go with that? Andre had a conversation about making sure you put different amounts of data in. And one of the things with web forms, when you're submitting a web form on a page, submit data. So try to submit the screen with no records filled out. Step 1 for me. Try to submit with some of the fields, not records, fields filled out. So no fields filled out. Some of the fields filled out. Fill out all the fields, and that will help unkink a lot of the bugs you have on a web submission form. But Andre was also saying make sure that you spend a lot of time doing error capture, documenting the error capture. We still have a session we need to do where as we run to errors, we write those out to a text file, which could be very handy. That being said, the idea is to make sure that as you write code that you are trapping for the common errors. And one of the things that we do is that we have a log file like in our starting point. As users do important things, we'll write log entries like the PSauce did this, or the Sassy did this, or John Smith on this iPhone did this process, things that we think are important. And sometimes we'll say the process is beginning, the results are this, the process ended. So they might be 3 different records that create. And you're like, well, you're creating all these records, but that's like breadcrumbs for you to find your way home, right? The Hansel and Gretel, they put the breadcrumbs out so they could find their way home. I think that they ended up being eaten in an oven or something. But the point is, it didn't turn out good for them. But the idea is, that way you know where you came from, right? Breadcrumbs.
It's also very important to know who in the company who did the thing. I explain why, because I had this experience many times. So you as a developer, you are full access mode, okay? And most of the time, so you are full access mode. Most of the time, you are the person you're talking to from the company is full access mode as well. But you have a user that has a very specific kind of privilege set tied to it. And that person, when prints on the invoice, he has an error. He got the error. But when you try to replicate this as a developer on your computer, you say, oh, it works perfectly well for me. I don't have a problem with printing invoices, so it works for me that the problem is used. No, the problem was because that person has a restriction too much in the privilege set. So it's very important to know who is encountering the issue. Very important.
It's really useful. Very well. And Andre said build test cases and test scripts. So for example, I don't do a lot of these. One of the things that I do is maintain our finished goods system at RCC, where we keep track of who's buying our training and things like that. And there is this fairly elaborate process that starts with PayPal noticing that there's money been paid. PayPal sends a notification to us, which sets off a huge chain of things from us finding that person in our contacts. If they're already there, then we just append a note to that. And then we append a new invoice. If they don't exist, we create all new records, right? And then we're going to fill out the invoice. We're going to mark it as paid. We send a copy of the invoice out paid with all the confirmation information. And so I actually created some scripts that would simulate what PayPal would do, so I could run simulations without actually sending money to PayPal to trigger it, right? Because every time you buy an order from us, it's $50 or $100 or $300 or whatever it is. And so I wanted to be able to do that without running a credit card every time. And so I created a set of test scripts, almost a battery of scripts that we could run for like the 5 or 20 or however many scenarios there were. That's with an automated back-end process. I think if you have a customer-facing process, that's tougher because, as they say in the business, users have infinite levels of amazing levels of stupidity. And I'm not being mean. I'm just saying that they can find a way to break stuff that you thought was completely impervious to, Godzilla, but Fred on an accounting on the second floor broke it in 2 minutes, right? And so end users are amazing, and you see them do stuff, and you're like, why would you click on the screen this way? And what would and so it's educational. Another thing you can do, Claris does this with usability testing, and they would they remember the little test room they have, right? And they don't do this too much anymore, but they have a room, like a little cubicle room, kind of like a bright, and there's a glass window. It's like the police interrogation room, right? And everyone's on the other side eating popcorn, and you're over there testing, so they put this software in it. Okay, we want you to go in this new version of FileMaker and build a table and then connect this relationship. And I would hear stories about engineers on their side taking bets with each other and eating popcorn because the camera, you got a camera in your face this way, a camera over here behind you on your keyboard, look like everywhere. And as you're doing stuff, they're recording it and watching your interaction. And then as if you did something correctly, they would share and eat popcorn. If they didn't, then they would all be like all depressed because you didn't interact the way they thought you would interact. Now, I'm a bad example to some degree of how people will interact because I've been doing it so long. I'm a little bit constrained. But you need people who've never used FileMaker. Like when they came out, so you'll love this, little quick story, came out with the Cloud 2.0 product, the Cloud that's in the market right now, the new one you can buy. It's a service, it's a license and the hardware and the software all in one service, right? They used one of my secretaries, and they used my wife, of all people. They put her in there, and they barbecued the crap out of Claris at the time, FileMaker. They wrote one side and down the other about how horrible the process was. It was a 12-step process. It asked them questions. They didn't have any clue. It was a real ugly training or evolution for Claris, but they listened, which was the whole point of that. The ones where you give them the feedback, then they ignore you, and they do it anyway. They actually listened to these ladies, and the process now is 4 steps or 5 steps instead of 12 steps. Infinitely easier. So that watch people do stupid, and you have to sit there. It's really hard for me and Nick to sit there. Not correct, right? You want to like tell them, but just click the other thing. But you got to let them do it. Yeah. You have to sit on. I'm going to sit on my hands. I can't wave my hands at you, and you have to watch the interaction. It's super educational. Super educational. And the problem is, just because you think you know the way people interact 20 years ago, it's different now. The demographics are a little bit younger, I think, and older. I think managing customers and interacting with customers is a little bit of an art form because it's based upon personal. Here, let me help you out. Let me come up to you. It's based upon personal relationships that you have with your customers. So you have to have a good relationship. And you got to find a way of getting them to test it where they want to be. They want to be your friend. They want to do it. Doing the coercion, which I had to do with the county of Santa Clara, just not great. and it doesn't provide a good feedback, and no one really loves you. You've got to find a way of making it fun and engaging, and you have to have that personal relationship, right? Because it's not just about building great solutions, it's about getting people, you understanding what they need and you building the great solutions they need, right? You follow everyone? And you need to spend the time, be personable with them, and figure out how you can get them to do the testing and come up with a strategy. So if you're doing waterfall, that's a bigger challenge. If you're doing spiral and you're doing a lot of file they're using, as long as you're careful, you can do that. And then you give them a little module, new things to play with, and then you have to be available. Another tip, one of my engineers forgot this the other day. You're doing a big rollout on a project, right? If the project's going to roll out, you never roll it out on a Friday, okay? Ever. You roll it out not on a Monday. Whenever you roll out software, you roll it out on a Tuesday. Monday, you have to come in and clean out your email, get all ready. Tuesday gives you most of the rest of the week to get things straightened out. The other one is you don't roll it out on a Tuesday, and then you go on vacation on Wednesday, okay? Your customers will hate your guts, and you will burn for that, right? I had an engineer forget about this. It used to be a thing. No one ever taught me this, right? And you go on vacation, and you're trying to enjoy your vacation, and your phone is like ringing, and you're like constantly answering, hello, this sucks, FileMaker sucks, right? And so you want to do your vacation after the rollout is done and after they're happy and the bugs have been fixed and everyone's calm. Then you go on vacation, right? And I know that then that means that if you have a vacation booked, you've got to arrange, you have to manage your customers' expectations that you're not going to do a rollout right before your vacation. You've got to do that. Listen, you can ignore me if you want. I'm just telling you, you're going to be sorry. Just the way it is. You're going to be sorry. Right, Nick?
Yeah. No, that definitely. You need to make sure that you're available for things, the big things. But after that, you can educate the person that you're talking to, for the company. Say, okay, to prioritize the issues. Like, because I'm doing many misspelling most of the time because of my English level. But if a misspell button won't prevent you it's not a priority number one, right? If nobody can log in the server, that's priority number one, right? So it's level the priorities, put a hierarchy on the priorities.
All right, everyone, that's it for today. If you have questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, if you want to send me some Diet Dr. Pepper, my current flavor of the month, feel free to do that too, or just let me know. If you're out in the Midwest, somewhere along the southern part of the United States, from California, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. If you're in those areas, let me know. We may be able to stop by and say hi. You never know. We could broadcast from your own home, your living room. All right, everyone? Appreciate it. See ya.
Guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected, the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.